Well, we're back in Utah. It's project time, and this time we're working on the van. One of the main reasons we went with the van was so we could ditch the Airstream and just live out of the van from time to time. And that's what we're prepping it for. Our ambitious plans include solar, a house battery bank, new flooring, a bed, and if there's time for it, maybe some cabinets in here. We're so pressed for time, our video's not going to be the prettiest we could possibly make it, but we still want to document it for those of you that have questions or might be doing something similar.
The first thing that we did when we got here was we pulled everything out of the van, and then we finally got the inside of this fiberglass top painted. And that made such a big difference because raw fiberglass is sharp and pokey and dangerous and super dark. So just getting that done alone really lightened things up, and it felt good to finally get that done. Today my project has been making a template for the floor. We're gonna lay down a subflooring, insulate it a little bit, and we got some nice sheet vinyl that we're gonna use. It's nothing super fancy, but it's gonna be a lot easier to keep clean with us constantly clomping in and out of here with muddy boots and muddy bikes, so we're going to be really excited to tackle that. So this is my template, and yeah, hopefully by the end of the weekend we'll have the flooring completely in.
The project I've been working on for the past 4 days is patching the holes back here. If you've been following our Instagram, we have way more pictures and more up-to-date stuff, so if you're on Instagram and you care about watching this project unfold, head over to our Instagram to see some sneak previews of that. But yeah, I had to cut out all the rust, patch it, seam seal it, paint it, and then plug the holes in here. Yeah, it was a big project. Glad to have that done. It felt like 8 steps backward before we could finally take a step forward. Now we're ready to take a step forward and get the floor in. So we just got back from Home Depot. We go there about twice a day now. I've actually done a pretty good amount of research about insulating the floor. We don't care about insulating it. We go camping all the time and the ground's not insulated there. So we're more interested about keeping road noise down when we're driving. Here's what the old carpet looked like. It had this material on there with a loaded vinyl mat on top. And that's how they kept the noise down from the factory. Rather than put in a whole bunch of styrofoam and all that sort of thing, we're not gonna insulate the floor. This whole space will heat up pretty quickly if we did use a heater, and we probably won't need a heater ever. So we got good sleeping bags. So let me show you what we're using. We got this from Home Depot, but we had to order it online. Took about 5 days to get here. It's the same stuff-ish that they used before, but this is made out of recycled jeans. Pretty cool. And it's got a foil backing on it. So we're gonna put that down and then put plywood on top of that and then put our laminate on top of that. Since the bolts in the van go through the floor and are exposed to the outside, this van is 20 years old. Rust accumulates on the bottom of the bolts, so when you try and back them out, they can't get out. And so this bolt is rusted in, so I have to cut it out. Now, the reason I've got this cardboard here is because when you grind, it sends these hot little metal shards everywhere, and if they hit glass, they'll actually melt the glass and etch themselves into it. I did that once on an old Toyota windshield, and now I've learned to protect my glass before I grind. I hate grinding. The previous owner filled all these seat holes with silicone to keep water and rust from getting through, but from what I've read, silicone actually either off-gasses or contains water or something, so it actually ended up rusting these holes a little bit. So I'm hitting each hole with a little bit of this rust reformer. It converts rusty metal, it chemically changes it to normal metal. Granted, the damage is still done from the original rust, but it stops the rust from continuing. Pretty cool. Just got that at Home Depot. While Therese is wiping everything down, I'm going to be using my flashing tape to cover all of these little holes. We've got all these holes taped up. We had to remove some brackets in there. Had to remove a bracket over there. Had to clean all of that. But we're finally ready to transfer our template to our soundproofing. We're going to go in the house to do that because it's freezing. Most exciting unboxing video ever. Gonna tape these together so they don't go anywhere so we can do the template all as one. Remember when you traced leaves in kindergarten and you thought that wouldn't be a real world skill? It's a real world skill. That worked out perfectly, the size of that sound deadening stuff. I think it's marketed as some sort of insulation for something. I can't remember what it's for, but it works perfect for car mats. I wish Home Depot sold non-home building stuff. I hate it when you go there and they're like, what's your project you're working on? And unless you're a contractor and you're building a house, they don't know how to react to that question. If you say I'm building out my camper van, they're just like...
They're like, I don't think we have the things you need for that.
Yeah, their
Not
brain...
realizing we can use a lot of the stuff they have.
This brown paper, I got the idea from another guy on YouTube. Great idea. We gotta keep this in good shape because we need it to cut out the plywood and to cut out our vinyl. Whew. Done. Let's roll it up and stick it in the van and see how it does. Alright, it's midnight. That means we're gonna call it a night. We gotta trim a couple things. But I'm really liking this. So, a lot of people put little strips down to fill in all these valleys and stuff. We're not worried about that. We're gonna put plywood over this. I mean, this will compress in some places and fill in others. Yes, there may be tiny little air pockets in there where you could get air currents. We're not gonna be standing on this. The bikes are gonna be on this most of the time. We're gonna be up in the bed, so we're not worried about it. You may do it differently, and that's totally your prerogative. But this is how we're doing it. We're really happy with this. This should be a lot quieter. We're going to put some on the wheel wells and put some in there on that outer panel, or inner panel if you're inside. Should quiet it down quite a bit. Right now the biggest noise is road noise from our big tires. And ever since we took this panel off and the heater in there that was kind of insulating all that, it's gotten pretty loud again on this side of the van. So I'm excited to cover that all up. Get a little more sound deadening in there, throw some wood in here, and then throw our vinyl on top of that.
It's gonna be good.
It's been a good night.
The first thing that we did once we got this home...
Okay, go ahead. As you know, one of the reasons we got the van is so we could ditch the Airstream.